Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine from Behind the Markets. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, February 28th, and it is National Chocolate Soufflé Day. So tonight I'm going to dinner at a steakhouse with a friend for his birthday party. And I'm not a big chocolate soufflé kind of guy, but I might just order one because it's National Chocolate Soufflé Day. Who knew? Anyway, today I want to talk about a story that is really taking Wall Street by storm, very quietly, though. Bloomberg and Forbes and all these other places are reporting. They've been reporting this for about a week, and I haven't really wanted to talk about it until I really got some answers and started talking to some friends of mine. But they're talking about what's being titled as the Mar-a-Lago Accord. And the Mar-a-Lago Accord is basically, it's based on a paper that was written by Stephen Mirren, Trump's nominee to lead the White House Council of Economic Advisors. And it's basically a grand bargain between us and certainly our allies to restructure our debt and weaken the dollar. And it's really looked at from one perspective. It's a little wild. In 1985, we had the Plaza Accords. And it was a similar situation, high inflation, high interest rates, and a strong dollar. The U.S. reached a deal with France, Japan, Germany, West Germany, UK, and they made a deal to weaken the U.S. dollar. And I know in public, all presidents say that we want a strong dollar because most people think a strong dollar is important. Strong dollar means the U.S. is strong. So it's very hard for a president to say we really want to weaken the dollar. But never forget something. Big business loves a weak dollar because when you have a strong dollar, it makes imports cheaper. So big business, when they're selling overseas, which is where most of the money is, they want a weak dollar so their exports, which are imports to the local currency, are cheaper. So what we're really trying to do, this is kind of part of the whole tariff thing, but really the most astonishing thing apart about this whole Mar-a-Lago Accord that they're calling it, so named, is a debt swap. They're trying to get foreign owners of short-term debt to swap that debt out and replace it with 100-year non-tradable zero coupon bonds. And in theory, this would drive down interest payments that are really choking us on our federal debt. That is really interesting. And the idea is that we're going to really push it on our military allies, people who are under the U.S. military umbrella, really try to force them to trade the debt they have for long-term debt, 100-year bonds, non-tradable zero coupon, meaning that they don't pay interest, and basically they mature at 100. So a zero coupon bond means that they would issue it at, 80. And it would mature in 100 years at 100. And that's when they would get their money back, the people. So basically, the word is filtering around that the U.S. is attempting some sort of debt restructuring. And if you Google Mar-a-Lago Accord, you can see it for yourself. And this makes some sense. The dollar strength makes imports cheaper, our own stuff that we manufacture more competitive. Tariffs are one way, very primitive way of dealing with that. The more sophisticated way is to really tweak the value of the dollar. And a lot of analysts who really follow this stuff think the U.S. dollar is overvalued anyway based on purchasing power, parity of a currency. But a weaker dollar would make our exports more competitive to other countries, boost business, lower the trade deficit. If American companies could sell more overseas because the dollar's weaker, it lowers the trade deficit, in addition to tariffs. But a weaker dollar would also reduce borrowing costs if the dollar is worth less, so is the total debt. This is a lot to process. I never thought I'd live long enough to see the United States talk about restructuring its debt. But count on Trump to make a really, truly bold plan, completely look at this very differently. And he is speaking to something that is very credible. Our debt is really choking us. And this is a crazy, bold idea, that's for sure. But I'll tell you something. In speaking to professional investors this week about this, before I wanted to talk to you folks about it, because this is like a big deal. The U.S. government needs to restructure its debt. Wow, that's shocking, actually. But before I spoke to you guys, I want to talk to some friends of mine on Wall Street who are in the bond business. And, their idea is, geez, wow, this is unsettling, really. So this could have an unintended consequence of really rattling the debt markets and pulling buyers away even more, which would not be good. So I know that the Trump administration is definitely floating this, but they're doing it quietly so they could walk away from it if there's an uproar from Wall Street. But this is a significant moment in U.S. history, and I thought it was a very important piece of information to share with you. So I wanted to do so. Anyway, that's all I have today. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you Monday.